So teachers, year 10s, year 11s, you are not going to want to miss this video, which is about grade 9 descriptive writing for the English language exam. Keep watching. You're going to be talked through a grade 9 example, and I'm going to show you different ways to plan and also what is necessary to tick all of those boxes to get a full mark answer. So I know that descriptive writing can be tricky. We've grown up reading stories. We've also, in recent years, heard speeches or looked at articles in newspapers. It's not very often that we read a piece of purely descriptive writing. So I've got hundreds of examples of grade 9 descriptive writing pieces. Follow me now, subscribe, and you will get regular tips. And also I do little shorts for mini writing workouts. So like I say, subscribe to get regular access to lots of different writing styles, descriptive, story writing, articles, speeches, blog posts, etc. What we're going to look at today is mastering the art of creative writing. It comes naturally to some people. I enjoy it a lot, but not to others. In my videos, this one and others, you will learn techniques to elevate your writing, to impress your teachers, and most importantly, to impress those English GCSE examiners when it comes to exam time. Yeah, often we spend a lot of time working on what's necessary for answering the questions in the reading part of the paper. But here we are going to talk through modelling ways of approaching the writing. So this was one of my favourite prompts. I'm a bit of a saddo. I love English. I love writing. I love specifically writing sort of in the Gothic horror style. This was on an exam 2 or 3 years ago. The reading piece, was from a book called, can't remember, but it was about a mill. A great book because I actually read it after it had been on the exam. And this was the writing prompt, a very spooky, mysterious looking place with a circular gateway. So I'm going to walk you through writing a 40 out of 40 grade 9 descriptive piece based on this particular question 5. If you've watched other videos of mine, you'll know that planning for a descriptive piece is not really the same as planning for a story. We often use Freytag's pyramid, rising action, climax, and then falling action when we're writing stories. It still needs to have a clear structure. And one of the structures that I like to use for descriptions, the drop, switch, zoom, end. I also tend to do a thought shower of words, phrases, any figurative language that comes to mind when I see the picture. Might not always use these in the finished piece, but it just gets your creative juices flowing and means that you can, you've got a bank then of words and phrases in case you get to a point where you're just stuck. So like I said before, this particular writing prompt and this particular picture really sparked my imagination. I particularly like spooky stories, mysterious descriptions. So here are some of the things that I came up with just from looking at the picture for some notes to help me plan. So I've got fog-filled sky, which is obviously used some alliteration there. Skeletal trees, describing the trees, but also having a little personification in the way that they're described. The shrieking gate, so thinking about onomatopoeia and shrieking, but also personifying the gate as maybe something that's like an omen. Murky light, the core of ravens, core obviously onomatopoeic word, ravens often motifs or symbols of death or danger. The tangled ivy, the ancient stone eye, so the metaphor there of the gateway as like an eye, bitingly cold metal, and a hidden pathway. As I say, these are just words and phrases that I've come up with, annotate around the picture, try and, spend a good 5 minutes coming up with these words and phrases to help support you, so that if you get stuck, you can go back to your plan. So I roughly used drop, switch, zoom, end structure for this particular piece of writing. Drop, you drop the reader into the middle of the action, and I'm going to do that by describing coming across the gateway. Switch, I'm going to switch to a more detailed, vivid description of the gate. Zoom, I'm going to zoom into a black cat, another symbol or motif of mystery, possibly death, the supernatural, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to end with the pull of the gateway and the metal gate swinging shut behind me. This is a cliffhanger, leaves the reader wanting more, leaves the reader with questions. So let's have a look at my first section of text, which is the drop part, where I've dropped my reader into a description so that they are dropped into the place that I am. I've used first person because it's always quite useful to think about what you can see, what you can hear, what you can touch, what you can taste, what you can smell, how you feel, all of those things. The gateway. Within the claustrophobic gloom, I came to a gateway unlike any I'd encountered before. A gateway that sparked a flame of curiosity deep within my soul. Stepping back, I took in my surroundings. The stone circle felt less like a structure and more like a portal to another world. An eye, ancient, unblinking, staring into the fading light of dusk. Tangled, twisted tendrils of ivy choked the waterlogged ground, snaking to catch my ankles. A bat wheeled above the gateway in endless circles, like it was caught in a spell. So now I've got my switch section and also my zoom. Switching into the more detailed description of the gate, zooming into something else. So, below the stone eye, a creaking rusted metal gate stood ajar, once ornate, perhaps even beautiful. It now resembled the railing of some long-lost shipwreck, dragged up from the deep. It yawned open with eerie ease, casual, beckoning, disinterested in consequence. A black cat slinked across my path, tail raised to the inky sky, its emerald eyes glinting like glass. Despite the swirling mist that cloaked what lay beyond, I could just make out skeletal trees, their branches raging at the heavens. The remains of a cobbled path were barely visible beneath an overgrown mess of nettles, thorns, and brambles, a bristling gauntlet of nature's defences. So this is my ending section, and as I say, I end on a cliffhanger. It loosely follows, like I say, the drop, switch, zoom, end, but I kind of got quite lost in this one because I found it really interesting. Okay. In the obsidian sky, the full moon pulsed like a warning beacon. Night had fallen, sudden, absolute, breath-snatching. I should leave. I should turn back. I should walk away and not look over my shoulder. But of course, I didn't. Of course, I inched over the boundary and slipped through the gates. The shrill shriek of an owl echoed overhead, a sound too sharp, too close. Bats looped overhead in tight, feverish figures of 8. The stolen light of the moon twisted the shadows into something sinister. My throat was dry. My heart pounded like a drum beneath my ribs. My hands, trembling, obeyed anyway. I had no choice. I wandered on. Behind me, the rusted gate creaked and slowly closed. Sorry about the dogs barking on that last slide, but this is what you have when you live with many 7 dogs, 4 cats, etc. And also, I think I said hands instead of legs. My legs were trembling. Anyway, this is the feedback for that piece of writing. This is why it would get a grade 9 top marks, 40 out of 40. So, number 1, communicating clearly, effectively, and imaginatively. This piece immediately establishes a compelling and eerie atmosphere. So I've got phrases like within the claustrophobic gloom. The writer, me, has a strong, consistent voice, using first-person narration to draw the reader into a sense of unease and curiosity. Also, there's imaginative ideas, the stone eye, the railing of a shipwreck, snarling nettles. These are original and creative. They avoid cliches and they transport the reader into a surreal Gothic landscape. The structural and narrative control. The piece is expertly structured with a clear arc of growing tension. The gateway itself serves as a central symbol anchoring the narrative and thematic and structural focus. Use of short, impactful sentences. Of course, I didn't. These highlight and enhance the tension and suspense. We've also got that the imagery builds in intensity as the narrator crosses from one world into another, which shows excellent pacing. Next is paragraphing and cohesion. So the paragraphs are logically sequenced and the transitions are smooth but atmospheric, e.g. below the stone eye, a black cat slinked. We've got repetition of sentence starters like of course and I should. This adds a rhythmic, stylistic cohesion and mirrors the internal conflict of the narrator. We've also got the technical accuracy. First of all, for spelling, punctuation and grammar, the writer demonstrates flawless technical accuracy through advanced punctuation that is used effectively for effect. I would change that. Use effectively for impact, I would say. And it goes on to talk about these different things, which I'll mention in the next slide. Yeah, so the ellipsis, of course, I didn't. The colons, night had fallen, sudden, absolute. Also the use of commas to control the rhythm and the emphasis. There's also range and accuracy of sentence forms. Really important to start your sentences in varied ways. And, have a mixture of short sentences, long, overwhelming sentences. Vary your sentences between simple and complex, etc. So here we got some complex sentences, some short, minor sentences, balanced and rhythmic sentences. These build suspense and draw the reader really well into the mysterious world that is created. Also, the piece never loses control or clarity, and the technical accuracy overall is flawless. So when it comes to vocabulary and style, we've got precise, ambitious and atmospheric word choices like waterlogged, obsidian, snarled, beckoning, disinterested. Figurative language describing the porthole, the gateway as an eye, which is ancient and unblinking. Metaphor, personification, simile, all mixed together. like a shipwreck dragged from the deep, and branches raging in the heavens. So this is what an examiner would say about this piece of descriptive writing. This is a sophisticated and original piece of descriptive writing that sustains atmosphere, tone, and tension from the first line to the last. The vocabulary is striking and evocative, the figurative language is well judged and purposeful, and the structure is artfully crafted to a high standard. Final marks 40 out of 40. So writing is one of those things that you need to practice. It needs time and effort and practice to get really good at it. So, have a go yourself.
So
like I was saying before,
you.
have a go yourself, show your talent. Yeah,
talent.
I'd love to read some of these. If you could email them me or post them in the comments. Use some of my ideas as a springboard and write your own piece. Describe a gateway as suggested by that picture. You can always scroll back to find the picture. And yeah, I'd love to read some of your examples. If I can, I'll send feedback.
Attempts at this.
Obviously, depending on how many I get, but it'd be really, really good to hear
remember to subscribe,
your opinions,
like and share.
And you can write a description. You can write a description that turns into more or less a narrative story. Experiment, try, show your ideas, and I'd love to
with explanations
on
why they are.
Like I was saying before, have a go yourself, show your talent. Yeah, I'd love to read some of these. If you could email them me or post them in the comments.
So remember,
use some of my ideas as a springboard and write your own piece.
To the channel,
describe a gateway as suggested by that picture.
And share with anyone who
you can always scroll back to find the picture.
Thank you.
So I've been Michelle from Strive for Success. And my aim is to help you strive for success to master GCSE English. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a subscribe. It really helps. A like and a share. Share with anyone who you think this might be useful. Obviously, happy for teachers to use this within lessons. Great for parents to have a look at what is expected, and also for the young people to see what they need to do to get those grade 9 marks. Love to hear your feedback. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And I will see you very soon. Next up is a story piece. So get subscribed and then you can find out when I have dropped that video.